Call me an optimist, I'm sure some of you will, but in my opinion, this is the best time to be a Pokemon fan. We have a game on the horizon that looks incredible. We have another game that really it's truly a game changer, and I'm super excited for it. And also, I think these changes are going to really impact the Pokemon franchise as a whole, and maybe even impact one of Pokemon's biggest letdowns, in my opinion, Pokemon Home. Welcome back to the post where we talk about all things Pokemon, and today we will be talking about Pokemon Home and, just kind of how I think that this is changing and for the better. You might be going like, hey, what's wrong with Pokemon Home? And I think a lot of Pokemon fans have really been upset by Home because of the way it was kind of promoted and all. First off, it's right there in the name, Pokemon Home. This game was announced to be releasing like a little after Pokemon Sword and Shield. So it was in Sword and Shield's hype cycle that we got the announcement of this. This would be the new storage center for the Nintendo Switch system, similar to how we had Pokemon Bank on the 3DS. And there were things added to it where it's like, this is how you're gonna be able to transfer Pokemon in from Pokemon Go, from Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, from the 3DS games through the Poke Transporter system, and all this fun stuff. But it just didn't really live up to that name. And this also came right around the time of Sword and Shield's marketing cycle, like I said, which many of you know, Dexit haunted that, the announcement that, hey, not all Pokemon will be available in every game now. But, Home was kind of almost presented like a surrogate to this. It was like, hey, Pokemon Home, they're going to live on there. And they even said, it will be like a home for your Pokemon. You'll get to interact with them on Home. And you can't really. The most you get is when you pull up the Pokemon Home app, one of your Pokemon will appear on the screen and I can tap it and it'll go and that's really it. It's not good. And this has been something that people have complained about. Not only this, but Pokemon Home has been a letdown in a lot of other areas. For those who didn't know, Pokemon Home is actually not made by GameFreak. It is made by Ilka. This is the same company that worked on Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, which is another controversial Pokemon project. And people have been upset with the launch time for Pokemon Home. Pokemon Bank seemed to be available for the 3DS games really shortly after. I think the longest wait was with Pokemon X and Y. We did have to wait 2 months, or maybe it was to January. So it was 3 months for Pokemon Bank to be available for Pokemon X and Y. But with Sword and Shield, it was longer than that for Pokemon Home. For Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, and Legends Arceus, it was a really long time. And then for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, it was also a long time. It was 6 or 7 months. I mean, it was really long, not something that we were used to. And, it's upsetting because I think something that makes the Pokemon franchise so appealing is the idea that we're able to move these Pokemon across games, right? Charizard isn't just a thing. It's the Charizard that I've had since Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green. It's my Charizard. He helped me take down the Elite Four and Champion in my first ever Pokemon playthrough. I brought him back in the Sinnoh Battle Frontier and battled Palmer with him. Things like that just mean a lot to us. I think that's something that they've done incredibly well with the franchise, is they've made these creatures feel more than just a little digital character on a video game console, right? Because you're able to transfer them up. I mean, seriously, I have a Dragonite on my game that is legitimately from Fire Red and is from my first ever Pokemon playthrough. It's so cool that we're able to do that. So when we get a game and it's so long before we can see our old friends again, it is a little disappointing. Not only that, but this can impact regulations with VGC and stuff, because oftentimes it allows for a little more Pokemon, a little more creativity in the battles. So that also is a factor as well. And then with Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, and Legends Arceus, it was especially a big upset because what happened there was that Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl was at first not compatible with Pokemon Home. And to really emphasize how big of a problem that was, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl and Pokemon Home are both made by Ilka. They made a game that wasn't compatible with their game. What? And they had to do all these little loops to eventually get it to connect, and it does. It works now, but that process impacted things, and I think it impacted even further the player perception of Pokemon Home. But I come with good news here. I think that we are turning a corner on this. First off, there's the new company that's been formed, Pokemon Works. This is a company that is a collaborative effort between GameFreak and ILCA. So I think, honestly, what this says to me, and this is purely just speculation, but this feels like damage control. This feels like GameFreak going, yeah, they dropped the ball. They've dropped the ball a couple times. We're stepping in, and we're babysitting, you know? And that's good. You know, they need to do some quality assurance on that. But not only is all this happening, but they're doing more with Home. First, earlier this year, they announced this new medal system in Pokemon Home. You can do different tasks, get different Pokemon to get medals in Pokemon Home. And they even have them now, I think, where you can visit like real-life locations, especially in Japan, and get certain medals for doing that. Now, this admittedly isn't huge. I've collected 0 medals in Pokemon Home. I don't personally care, but Pokemon is a collector's game. You see all these shiny hunters. You see all these players who like to get Pokemon with specific marks. You like to see them try to catch this Pokemon in this ball because it's aesthetically pleasing. All that. So I do think it makes sense to go the medals route. And it's just a small way to show, hey, we're trying to make Pokemon Home like a game and not just a storage software. And it looks like things are getting even better with the release of Pokemon Champions. Pokemon Champions is going to be coming out in 2026. It is a game that will allow us to use our Pokemon that are in Home to battle. Now, it does note that not all Pokemon in Pokemon Home will be available at launch, but what's happening here with Champions is this is very clearly like an answer to Dexit and an answer to all those Pokemon kind of being stuck there. An eventual one, not at launch, but an eventual answer to that. We learned about how you're able to take these Pokemon in Home and play with them on Champions. So finally, the Pokemon in Home can actually do something. Not only this, but in Champions, we see the release of this new item called the Omni Ring, and they're saying that this Omni Ring will allow us to do the different battle gimmicks. We can see clearly on it Z moves, Terra, and Mega Evolution, and very likely Dynamax would be there as well, and maybe even eventually like the Gen 10 gimmick, and so on and so on. And this is awesome too because it allows people to play with their favorite designs, even if their favorite design is a design that's locked behind a gimmick form. Like maybe your favorite design is a Mega Evolution or a Gigantamax form, or perhaps you're one of the unlucky people who love Ultra Necrozma, a design that is literally only available in Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon and no other game. And I think just the release of this shows that they do want Pokemon Home to be a little more active and the Pokemon in there to be a little more active and us be able to be more active with them, right? And so it makes me wonder what the future of this software could be. And I'm thinking we've got our battle simulator now that allows us to battle with our Pokemon and even, you know, customize their movesets and all this. But what if we could take that further? Perhaps Pokemon Home could introduce features that allow us to change our Pokemon's forms in homes. This has been a question I've wondered about in Champions, like how will I change my Rotom form? Do I have to send my Rotom into Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, change its form to Rotom Fan, then put it back in Home, then go on Champions and grab it from Home? Oh, now I want to use Rotom Wash. Okay, well, I have to grab it back from Champions onto Home, now send it from Home to Pokemon Scarlet, now pull up Pokemon Scarlet and change its form, then send it back. You see, like, that is a little annoying. So maybe there'd be a process in there, and even other Pokemon where their gimmick forms are not, like, an actual effect on the battle. Pokemon like Furfrou, where it's just a cosmetic change. You know, I think this stuff is important to think about. And then also, too, I think Game Freak likes us to have multiple ways to play with our Pokemon, right? Like, we see this different battle style in Legends ZA. We see that they like to do things like Pokemon contests or the Pokemon Battle Royals to allow us to play with Pokemon in different ways. So how cool would it be if we saw the launch of maybe like a new Pokemon Ranch where we can interact with our Pokemon just in the sense of literally just see them roaming around through a software that also connects to Home, much like Pokemon Champions. And you can make it where, yeah, we can just send like 30 at a time. I don't know. That admittedly is one where I wonder about the like actual logistics of that. Would that even make them money? Because that's such a minor thing. I don't know if people care about that, but you could tell me if you'd care about it, because I sure as heck would. But yeah, I really think that they are making an effort, baby steps, to make Pokemon Home a home. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Are you excited for the future of Pokemon? I sure as heck am. And until next time, I will see all of you later.